The other aspect of this Big 12 schedule release that hit me was once I went to Rivalry Weekend. So the SEC, full bore Rivalry Weekend. Every school in the conference, whether they're playing another SEC school or an ACC school in 4 cases, are they're sold out on Rivalry Weekend. The Big 10, every game across the board is a rivalry matchup. The Pac 12, pretty much the same across the board. The Big 12 just seemed to have completely discarded Rivalry Weekend and didn't seem to factor into their thought process at all.
Yeah, I thought that was very bizarre, Mark. That was the one bizarre thing that I saw with the schedule release. That yeah, there's no rivalries at
No,
all being played on that
yeah, they're
weekend.
just random
Yeah,
games.
yeah, they're all. The only one that Texas Tech and Texas are playing, and that's not.
Yeah,
It's turned into maybe a little bit of a rivalry with A&M leaving leaving the conference. But no, you're right. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are playing they're actually playing the weekend of November 4th, so they're a few weeks away from that game. And so yeah, I think that would be interesting to understand what their thought process was around that. To your point, with an opportunity here to to showcase some of these rivalries that with the new Big 12 that was missed there. It was yeah, kind of interesting. I didn't really understand that one either.
yeah, because on Rivalry Weekend, it appears over the past probably 10 years since Texas A&M and Missouri left that the Big 12 has been all over the place in how they've approached the last weekend of the season. You would remember much better than me. But at one point, I just assumed Bedlam was the last weekend of the season because it had been scheduled that way for however many years, and then they started to move it around a little bit. And yeah, they seemed to go back and forth for Texas once Texas A&M left between TCU, Texas Tech, and then it seemed to be just random. They seemed to pair West Virginia and Iowa State together for a while, probably because they didn't have anywhere else to go, and try to make something out of that. And that's no longer a thing. Now, I totally understand them looking at Oklahoma saying, "You're not going to be in the league. We don't need to accommodate your rivalry anymore because it's going to be passe here pretty soon anyway." So I totally get it, but it doesn't seem like they're trying to establish anything else. Like Cincinnati, West Virginia, that that would be a game that I would think that they would want to put together to try to build something there because there is no natural rivalry for West Virginia, and Cincinnati would be the closest thing geographically.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and I'm just looking through this, trying to. There's not. You can kind of try this in some situations. You can kind of stretch and see. Yeah, I could see where that could be a rivalry, but no, it's not. It's not the case for really any of these teams. Oklahoma plays TCU that weekend, like as we mentioned, Texas Tech and Texas, Baylor and West Virginia, BYU and Oklahoma State, Kansas State and Iowa State, Cincinnati and Kansas, UCF and Houston. Um, yeah, so there's no real tie. I would have liked to see, to your point. I think West Virginia and Cincinnati would have been um, a great game to have on that weekend, and they have it the weekend before. So, yeah, it's bizarre. I think in a lot of ways, and and maybe some way they're trying to create, you know, s- manufacture some rivalries that may may come to fruition or something like that. But I would have liked to have seen them, switch some things up. Like it would be interesting to see Houston and Texas play on that weekend. You could have Kansas and Kansas State. We mentioned Cincinnati and West Virginia there, and Oklahoma State, and just some other ones that could possibly have been something that we're not seeing. So it's one of those situations, Marky, where you'd like to kind of tap the ear and just kind of understand, kind of what went into that thought process. But I think it's we both agree here. I think this is a little bit of an opportunity missed for the Big 12.